Wait. Celestial confronts Pastor Sonya Spence Walker for victimizing eternity, and eternity is no longer with us. So we send our condolences out to her. Rest in peace, baby girl. Y'all have to see this video. Check it all the way out to the end and listen to Eternity tell her story of what she had to deal with being victimized by the pastor.
Her name is Pastor Sonya Spence Walker. An explosive expose that is all over social media at the moment and growing. A woman killed herself recently. She could not heal from the sexual abuse. She was groomed by a female pastor whose name is Sonya Spence Walker. I have not watched all of the young woman's testimony because the language that she used is a little bit incendiary and I could not keep up with it. But she recently took her own life after chronicling more than 20 years of a lesbian relationship that she had with a woman who was markedly older than her. The woman groomed her just as this girl was on the cusp of legality. The young woman was in the church, and for 20 years, she was the lover of a female pastor who is married to a man.
Hi. For those who do not know me, my name is Eternity, and this is an introduction to my playlist, The True Confessions of a Teenage Mistress. So when I was 18, I was in a sexual affair with a church leader of my home church.
Her entire story is chronicled in something called Journey with Eternity. And the one who has passed away now, she took her own life. Her name is Tarika James. There are predators in the church. There are wicked people in the church. They perpetrate to be one thing, and then they live like another in the background. And then there's sycophants, those who are headed to hell themselves on footsteps that are flying into darkness, the sympathizers of sin, the blind, dumb, and deaf mute Christians who can only see the false persona being put in front of them will always be the first one to raise their voices and to point an accusing finger at a victim and say, but why don't you take responsibility? This young woman was trying to take responsibility. She was having therapy and it was not helping her. And that is because I, Celestial, have always told you that sexual abuse, sexual molestation, and graphic abuse, such as rape and sodomy, but also preparing children ahead of time to be your lover by pretending to be an authority figure in their life, a protective voice in their life, an adult who styles themselves as a safe place for a child. And when the child has gotten used to their presence and the child now trusts them, then they slowly begin to introduce sexual language, sexual innuendo, sexual touches, until they finally make that one big move on a young person.
I am at an age now, 40 to be exact, that I realize the abusive and exploitative nature of that relationship.
Grooming them and telling them that God is not against this. This young woman chronicled that for 20 years she was sitting in the church as the mistress of a woman who would stand on the pulpit whenever her husband gave her an opportunity to preach, and she would speak against same-sex relations and then climb down off the pulpit and take this young one into her bed. Journey with Eternity on YouTube. And her entire story is entitled The Confessions, True Confessions of a Teenage Mistress. This young woman could not handle the fact that she had been used and abandoned. When this woman was finished with her after a 20-year relationship, she simply dumped the person and moved on to something else, simply went back to her straight life. Now she's done with bisexuality because maybe there was heat Maybe people were beginning to notice, or maybe she was simply done, as the way is with narcissists. Either way, this young woman could not handle being dumped like that. She tried to go to therapy. She tried to do all the self-affirmations. She tried to do everything. But sexuality is a gate that when it is broken, the Bible says, do not awaken love before the time. That means don't touch what belongs in a man-woman committed, covenanted marriage relationship before the time. It can be explosive, it can be dangerous, it can be deadly. And all the therapy in the world could not save this soul. She tried to heal because her therapist told her that if you say what happened to you, Tarika, it will bring you peace. You will be able to explain your side of the story. But when she brought it out in this murderous climate, the internet did its finest and began to tell her, you were an adult, you were 18 years old. This is how you know that the world is full of people who practice hebephilia. Hebephilia is when you are actually attracted to someone who has just stepped out of the lower teens. No longer 12, 13, 10, 11, 12, which is pure pedophilia. No. People who are into hebephilia wait for these little children on the cusp of adulthood. Like predators. They're waiting for them to get that legal ID card so they can step to them and start saying, do you want to have a relationship with me? I know I'm 35, but I can show you the world. I can take you to Dubai. I can take you to Oman. I can take you to the Maldives. I can run you by the Caymans and show you a good time. I've spoken of it here for years. The young people don't have means. They want expensive phones. They want expensive shoes. They want expensive bags. They want to make Instagrams that look like they're living the life. And their brains are also not fully formed. This woman was a church person. She took advantage and she preyed on a young person. But the internet was now telling the young person, you're an adult. You must have wanted it. And this woman was not able to handle, because this was probably something that her therapist did not prepare her for. She was not prepared for the unmerciful hearts of the wicked, because it was Christians who were telling her this primarily. It was the people of the internet, but it was people who claimed that they know Jesus Christ. She only recently lost her life. It hasn't even been 3 weeks, and her story is all over social media. It deserves to be highlighted. Women can be predators too. What God said in those 2 prophecies long ago.
Hi. For those who do not know me, my name is Eternity, and this is an introduction to my playlist, The True Confessions of a Teenage Mistress. So when I was 18, I was in a sexual affair with a church leader of my home church. And this playlist, this collection of videos is to talk about that experience and to share my story, because I am at an age now, 40 to be exact, that I realize the abusive and exploitative nature of that relationship. Now, many will say, oh, well, 18 is an adult, you can make your own decisions. And to a degree, I agree with that. But that's also a mindset that allows predators to take advantage of people, waiting for them to be legal. Because even with the legalness of being 18, there's still the context of how that situation began, which is what I'll be going into. The reason I'm talking about this is because I've carried this for 22 years, and the majority of that time, it was not until I turned about 38 that I actually came into some higher truths about the situation. But up until that point, I had always taken responsibility and blamed myself for being in that situation. And now I am at a point where I see it for what it was. I see just how I was manipulated and used by somebody who I loved deeply and intimately, soulfully. I'm currently in therapy at the time of this recording, and with the blessing of my therapist, I'll be telling this story. She says that part of my healing is simply to talk about it. In a way, it's an unburdening of myself, because this has been my big secret my entire life, that this relationship happened. And so in releasing the secrecy of it, I am releasing myself from that past and able to fully move forward, because it's hard to move forward. Actually, I'm going to say it's pretty much impossible to move forward in your healing if you are still keeping secrecy and shame about what it is you need healing from. So this is my story. This is my experience. I do hope that people who follow along with this playlist, who have similar experiences, who have had this happen to them, are able to get healing in their own way. A lot of times we get healing through other people's stories, not because we're here for the drama, we're here for the tea, but because it's like, oh my gosh, it's not just me. I'm not the only one that has experienced this. And that is the reason that I'm willing to be open about everything. And it's hard to do that. It's hard to do that. The time of this video is January 10th, 2024. I actually have been talking about this on my Facebook page since November 2023. So it's been October or November. So it's been 2 or 3 months. And even in that short time, I have gone through a lot emotionally. A lot of unearthed hurt, a lot of new revelations, a lot of just dealing with this in a new reality. It has been heavy. It has been very, very heavy. So my intent here is not to burden other people and to bring other people down with this story. Content warning all the time, like only engage if you feel that you are in a place that you can benefit from this and you want to hear about what this story is. And sometimes it might come to some moments where you're like, you know what, I need to take a moment because this is a little bit too much for me. And that's fine. Please take care of yourself as you follow along with this story. And honestly, there's no real structure to this. Like, I have some notes about some things I definitely want to talk about, but this will go on for as long as is necessary until I have released everything that I need to release. And one day I will make a video and be like, you know what? I think I've said everything I need to say, and that's it. So yeah. Welcome to the video story, the playlist, the vlog of what I have dubbed the true confessions of a teenage mistress. And I hope that in sharing my story, I help people to be able to tell theirs. Even if not to other people, then being able to tell your story fully to yourself and getting healing through your own storytelling. Thank you. So I have a therapy session today. It might be my fourth one, maybe fourth or fifth therapy session. And honestly, I don't even know what to say anymore at this point. By that I mean the space I'm in right now. I don't have any words. It's just an existence, and the space I'm existing in, honestly, is anger. And that's what we're going to talk about. That's what I'm going to talk about with my counselor today. And we talked about this before, actually. I am angry at the lack of accountability by by first. Not by her, actually, by the people that support her still. I'm angry. I don't know what this is. I'm trying to figure out what this is. So I'm talking it out right now. See, just the preface for the therapy session. What do I feel? I feel I am in a place of being stuck. Like, I've started this process. I'm talking about my feelings. In fact, I have a number of videos that I've recorded that I haven't uploaded yet. The playlist is going to be in a weird order. Some things are like right now in present, just like right this, like what this is, and then some I recorded in the present moment when I was going through whatever I was going through, and I haven't put them up here. Put them up here yet. So you'll see a few videos that I recorded like a month ago, a week ago. I don't know. I'm not going to worry about all that. I am upset because I don't see anything changing with her. And some people have made comments in some of my other posts about, make sure you don't get caught up in her. But I think part of it is for me is that I feel I might want retribution. I need to look up the word to make sure I'm using the correct one. But I want my coming out about this to have an impact on her life in a way that either makes her be accountable, or honestly what I want her church to fail. And I will say that completely. I will claim that. I want her church to fail. And it's not because I want it to fail as in, ha ha ha, that's what you get. I want it to fail because she's not a safe person. That's what it is. She is not a safe person. She is not an accountable person. And those aren't the kind of people that you need in leadership of any kind, but especially church leadership, spiritual leadership. And I've heard rumor that there's a high percentage of lesbians in her church, and I wonder and worry, more worry than anything, that these people that are a part of her church, if that rumor is true, are probably people who are ex-gays or looking to not be in that lifestyle. And that's dangerous. That is so dangerous, because those are people who can be easily taken advantage of, like I was. I was in a place where even though I knew I was gay, I was fighting it, but then it's also like, it's who you are. Fighting being gay is like fighting your need for food. Like if somebody read the Bible and said humans aren't supposed to eat, and you're like, okay, well, Jesus said we're not supposed to eat, even though your body is programmed for food. That's what fighting your sexuality feels like. It is a constant fight, because you cannot turn off something that is natural for you. And it's really interesting because I of course have a number of books that look into like where the whole about same-sex relationships and being homosexual is an abomination and stuff. And for people who actually study the Bible, like study the original translation, study the languages, study the context, the history in which it was written, you learn so much more about what those passages actually meant. Because guess what? Those passages were mainly talking about rapists and pedophiles. That's what they were talking about. Rapists and pedophiles. And what is the church full of? Rapists and pedophiles. Meanwhile, us gay folk, we just trying to get our lives together. Half of us in the choir or playing the organ. You know the stereotypes about, all the choirs gay. Society has done a great job of villainizing a natural sexuality as a sin, as an abomination. It is not a sin to be gay. It is not a sin to be queer. What is a sin is how you treat people. What is a sin is taking advantage of people, exploiting them for your own gains, whatever that gain is. So I'm worried. I am worried as I learn more just about her, because I haven't really kept up with any of her work or anything, but I am concerned about that. And that's why I think I'm upset. It's not I need something to happen to you because you did something to me. If she was just like somewhere just doing her, going to her 9 to 5 and living her little life, cool, whatever. I don't need I don't like want your house to burn down or anything cruel like that. But I want her to not be in a position of power to take advantage of more people. She got away with it with me because I was 18 and naive about how relationships worked, about what love was, and naive and thinking that it was a secret when it was clearly not. Like, I don't want other people to be used or to be led astray, and I fear that she is doing both of those things. And that angers me, because people who get away with that bullshit are awful. The fact that you even put yourself in a position to take advantage of folks, like you will speak one thing in the pulpit and do another thing behind closed doors and really be thinking that you are a person of God. Like the cognitive dissonance of a lot of church people, particularly church leaders, like you're preaching one thing and you're doing another one. And a lot of us do that. A lot of us say one thing and do another one. A lot of us are hypocrites. But to do it in a place of leadership is what is fucked up. And again, spiritual leadership at that. That's why I'm angry. And I'm still trying to lean on God to take care of the situation as it will be taken care of, because I just thinking about it again, just leading people astray. I cannot. I hope with every ounce of my faith that God's gonna get that ass. I'm just gonna say it. I hope with every bit of my faith that she gets pulled down and doesn't take advantage of and hurt other people. And I'm at a point now where I'm like, is there any reason for me not to say who she is? I'm still processing that. Because I'm like, what if that's what it takes? What if I need to actually put her identity on blast? Because again, I'm not lying. She can't come for me for lying, because I'm not. And I don't know. What are your thoughts? What do you think? I am very much open to comments and feedback, because this is... What would you do? The person who abused you in such a way you find out is likely doing it with other people. So this video is a little different because I'm not home in my little private room in the parking lot, as you can see and possibly hear from the traffic. But bear with me. So, telling the story of how this all even began. So I grew up in Raleigh, and essentially my life growing up was home, school, and church. Home taking care of my siblings, school because you're in grade school, and church. That church was my second home, my second family. And so the church I attended was called Providence Holy Church. Providence Holy Church, and I think it was like a historical church. It was part of the holiness
organization. But yeah, I think it was like a historical church. And so our original pastor was Pastor Buckle. He went off somewhere. I don't think it was anything bad or anything, just, change happens. And so then we got the Stancils. So Pastor, First Lady, so Manuel Stancil, Sonya Stancil, and then their 2 kids, Preston and Damon. And so I don't remember how old I was when they first got there, but I was young. I want to say maybe 4th or 5th grade. It was definitely a little bit before middle school because Preston and I went to the same middle school. So they were the first family. They're the new leaders of the church. Cool. And then with black churches, if you're watching this and you're not familiar, with particularly black churches in the South, the pastor and his wife and their kids, because it's usually a male pastor, they're the first family. Like he's the leader of the church, but the family is also like the example of family leadership. They're like kind of in a way like they were definitely, I was gonna say second parents, not necessarily second parents, but definitely some authority figures. It's a big deal. So they're the new church leadership. I would think it's 6th grade. Preston passes away, and so that was of course a huge blow. Nobody ever wants to bury their child, especially so young. So then there's 3, and around 8th grade is when I figure out that I like girls. And that's like, oh crap, that is not what I want for my life. So my coming out story will be a different story for another day. So 8th grade, figure out that I am into girls. My father had left sometime also when I was in middle school. I want to say also about maybe 7th grade. So it's a lot happening. Again, I'm the oldest, taking care of my siblings, finding out these things about myself, being in a church where these things are not good. It was not a affirming church. There weren't many affirming churches back then. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So figuring out that I was gay was awful. It was awful. So going through high school, I remember one day in service looking over at First Lady. In a lot of black churches, there's like sections for certain people. So like she was over in her little First Lady assigned seat section in the first row, and I was like on the other side of the church. And I don't remember anything in particular happening. Like there's nothing abnormal about the service or anything like that. But I remember looking over at her and suddenly seeing how sad she was and how lonely she was. Like I saw it in her spirit. It was like I have what I call these moments of absolute certainty when I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that something is going to happen, and every moment of absolute certainty has happened. So when I mention those, it's a thing. So this was, I want to say, the first of 3 moments where I looked at her and saw what I saw. And I think part of what enabled me to see it is I was also sad and lonely, going through what I was going through and thinking to myself, I don't want anyone else to feel like that, and I want to be her friend. Weird as it may be, I honestly looked at her that day, saw what I saw, and said, I want to be her friend. I think it's also around this time that my mother had perhaps asked her to be my mentor. When I came out about this to my mother, she reminded me of that because I vaguely remembered that arrangement. So let's say between both my moment and my mother's request, First Lady and I started to spend time together. And initially is I guess the purest of connections. She's more of a role model, kind of, taking me under her wing. I see her as a kind of like the cool adult that I get to hang out with. And also, there was I'm trying to figure out how to even say this, but so anyway, let me just keep going. So we're spending time together. Not anything inappropriate, not anything abnormal, but we're getting closer. And we get close enough that she starts to be more open with me emotionally, just about how she feels about things about her marriage that honestly didn't surprise me, but people don't pry into other folks' relationships. I think sometimes we might need to do that. So we start to get closer emotionally, and I'm the kind of person where I want people to be free. Even before I really found that language, that was something I always kind of wanted, because that's what I wanted for her. In like the small ways, like growing up in a very traditional church where like women aren't really in leadership, or at the very least women can't wear pants, your skirt needs to be a certain length, that kind of thing. Going to the movies is a sin, and it's just basically anything that doesn't have to do with a scripture or being in church is just wrong. And so like she hadn't been to a movie in years. I was like, you can go to a movie, let's go to a movie. We started going to movies. I got her like to start wearing pants when she was just kind of out. It's like, you don't have to wear a skirt all the time. You're not a heathen if you wear some pants. So that's what our relationship started to be, and we were talking all the time. Like, now this is around the time I got my first email address in high school. Back in the day, we had MSN Messenger, which is kind of like what DMs and text messages are today, but it was on the computer. So we would be in Messenger like all day while she was at work and I'm in school, and even it started, and also when I went to college. So yeah, we start becoming friends while I am in high school. I turned 18 in July, and in that August I'm off to school. So I'm a freshman in college, and our relationship is still platonic and friendly. But I realize I'm starting to develop feelings, and I tend to have a thing for middle-aged women. Like, even as a young person, when I started to crush on people, it was usually somebody that would be in their 30s. So, and again, I already knew that I like women. I already knew that I like girls. So it wasn't that I was getting these strange feelings and I had never liked a woman before. It's kind of like, no, I was getting these feelings for her, and I was like, okay, hold on here now. I remember having a conversation with God. I was like sitting on my little twin bed in my dorm, having a mental conversation about these feelings I knew I was starting to develop and what I was going to do. For the most part, the automatic answer to myself was no. But there was a part of me that felt like if I actually tried, like if I actually said something about these feelings, they could very possibly be reciprocated. I had no actual proof. There was nothing that had been said, but the energy, I was like, it might not be an automatic no. So I did ponder that, but I also pondered that she was a married woman, despite how I felt about her marriage based on what she had told me. The fact that she's the first lady, all these other factors that, of course, are very good reasons to not mention these feelings. One thing that didn't occur to me, though, was the age. Another thing that did not occur to me was she had watched me grow up. These are things I understand now as an adult, but when I was 18, these factors didn't matter at all. So, have my conversation with God, and the reason I have a conversation with God, because I never ever pretended with God that I wasn't who I was, or that I didn't feel what I felt. I was always open with God because God knows all. That's what I was taught. God knows all, so why even pretend? If I can't talk to anybody in freedom and being all of who I am, or if I can't talk to anybody, it's to God, it's the Spirit. There are things I've never told a human being, but I have no shame in knowing that God knows it's about me. And that's the thing, I don't feel shamed in my conversations with God. I only ever felt shamed in my conversations with people about what they said God thought of me. But again, that's another day, another story for another day. So ultimately I decided, no, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to risk it. It would be in poor taste if I tried. I care about this woman. I want her to stay in my life. We can just stay friends. I decided this on my own at 18. Even though I knew I had feelings. And I thought maybe she did too, but I wasn't sure and I was not going to risk it. All right. Discussion over. Decision has been made. Moving on. So we're having a messenger conversation one night. I can't remember what we're chatting about, but at some point she says, I think I'm having feelings for you. And I remember this. I remember this clearly. I think I'm having feelings for you. I see it on the screen and I just sit there. I'm like, what is this? And what goes through my mind is that if she is the one saying this, if she is the one initiating this, then it must be okay. It must be okay. Because she's closer to God than I am. She's a grown adult woman who can make her own decisions. And again, she's closer to God than I am. She's the first lady. She is like, I'm nothing spiritually compared to her. Hell, I'm nothing socially compared to her. So if she is the one initiating this, it must be okay. It must be okay. And by then, I was probably calling her Sonya, but she definitely became Sonya and no longer First Lady. So we talk about it. I can't remember how the rest of the conversation goes, but I know we talk about it. I probably tell her about my feelings too, because at this point, I have no reason not to, right? I have no reason not to tell her. So we talk about it, and me being the sentimental fool I am, I'm like, I'm printing this shit out. I'm printing this out so I have a record, not to show anybody, but this moment in time where the woman I'm beginning to love says that she's interested in me too. I'm like, oh my God, I want to commemorate this. I want to have this to look back on at some point in time. Clue number one, this was fucked up. Because I got the switch got me, y'all. I got stuck. Hold on. The Lord has got my hair. It's got my hair, Jesus. Okay, let me just. Okay. I'm free, y'all. Free. No longer am I bound. Okay. PAC folks will know what that is. So anyway, let me stay away from that bush. But I said, sign number one of some fuck shit. I told her I printed it. She told me to get rid of it. And of course, in that moment, I'm thinking, of course, that I shouldn't have her. We don't need proof of this because it's clearly not going to be something that she just goes and tells her husband. Right. This is like, I already understood affairs. I already understood that this was going to be a secret. So I didn't question it. I was like, of course, I shouldn't keep a copy of this. So I literally tore it up. This is how committed I was. I tore it up and flushed it down the toilet. I'm in college cities away, nobody's gonna come digging through my trash to piece together some sheets of paper that I tore up, but I flush it down the toilet. And that's how things begin. We take our first trip together. We go to, I want to say it's Wilmington. We go to the beach. It's got to be late fall or winter time. Late fall or winter time. And people know we're going. My mother knows we're going. It's under the mentor-mentee relationship. She's spending time with me. The troubled gay youth. So spending time with the first lady makes a lot of sense because, maybe she can get my spirit right and, make me like men and pray the demon out of me. I don't know what people are thinking. That's probably what they're thinking. But again, the highest of the high in terms of spiritual hierarchy. Nobody would question her spending time with anybody or any youth. Nobody would question her spending time with any youth because of who she was in position and who she was to us personally. Nobody would ever distrust her. Nobody had a reason to. So we go to the beach, and this is the first time we're together. And for me, this is the first time I've been with anyone. Even when I was trying to be straight, I never was sexually intimate with any men. There were some experimental times with a couple of other girls, but nothing like really deeply sexual. Like clothes wasn't coming off. It was mainly just like in a little chest area. So this is my first time being fully intimate with someone. And the sad thing is, I barely remember that night. Not because of trauma, not because anything bad happened. I just don't. I guess maybe it is trauma. Trauma has blocked out the memory. But I don't feel like I was traumatized because this is what I wanted. I remember we get there, we get to the hotel. Of course, I'm nervous. I'm nervous the whole way down there. I'm nervous because I'm excited. And I think she is too. Like, we are both nervous and excited for what we're going to be doing. I remember I'm there, I'm on the bed, she's in the bathroom, and she comes out. And I don't even know if you'll be able to see this because the picture is so small, but she comes out like, ta-da! Like, titties all out, like booty butt naked. And it's in that moment, it is absolutely adorable to me because it looks like in that moment she is free in her body and she is free in herself. And she's just being silly. But it was like an absolute beautiful moment to me. And that's what I remember. I remember her. I remember her body. I remember what she looked like. I can't even tell you if I had clothes on or not. I don't remember. I remember sitting on the bed and seeing her. That is all I remember from the first time that I had sex. The first time that I gave my body to somebody that I love. I don't remember anything about myself. So, but sexy time does ensue. I remember enjoying it. Had no complaints. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. But I was doing it with a woman that I fucking loved. The other thing I remember is us having a meal. We've checked out. We're at a restaurant somewhere. And just FYI, this is not PG-13. But I remember sitting at the table and I had brought my hands to my face and I said to her, I can still smell you on my fingers. And she was like, shh. And she's looking around. I said, there's nobody out here in Wilmington. Like, don't nobody know us out here? And I wasn't loud with it either, but she was like, oh, just, But that's the other thing that I remember from that night. And people have mentioned EMDR. And I talked to my therapist about it, and she thinks it's something good for me to try. So I might try it, and I might try to see if I can get back those memories. I don't know. I don't know if I should want them. But anyway, that is the story of how we became lovers. I'm sitting here, I'm just silent now. I'm like, I don't even know if there's anything else to say or share. It's the first time I've seen a black woman with pink nipples. That was also very interesting to me. I hadn't been exposed to very many shades of women underneath their clothing. So, yeah. And I don't even remember if I had my first kiss with her that night. I feel like I did, but I also do remember some times where we would be intimate and I would go to kiss her and she would stop me. And I've since learned that people do that when they don't want to form an emotional bond with the person they're fucking, because they need them to stay emotionally distant. They need them to stay an object. I don't know if I don't know if I was an object. I'm gonna mention duality again, because the truth that I'm living right now is that there are two truths. One truth that is a much smaller truth now, but one truth is that she did have feelings for me. She did have feelings for me. Whether those feelings were love or just attraction, me giving her some emotional attention and care, like, that's what made me suddenly attractive to her. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But the other truth is that I was never someone that she loved or cared about and was a target the entire time. But I don't think somebody who is only looking for a target opens themselves as much as she did to me. And I think that's the only thing that allows that smaller reality to exist. But then again, people act and people lie and people fake. And the real truth of the matter is, the absolute truth in this moment in time is that I do not know, and I will not know, because she will never tell me. She will never admit to this. She will likely never. I cannot speak in the absolute truth there. I don't know what she'll do. But it's highly unlikely that she'll ever admit to this. Her own daughter won't admit to this, and she knows because somebody told her when we were young, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that Dana knew. And I feel bad that Dana has to deal with this with her mother, because it's her mom. Her dad is gone. Her brother's gone. She's got her mother. And what child doesn't want to defend and protect their mother? Although I can say if this was my mother, the way we would protect her would be to get her some help to deal with what she's done so that she can heal, and that hopefully the people that she hurt and victimized heal. But my family already had this discussion. It's like, had it been us, oh no, we're not going to defend grooming and legal pedophilia. That's all it is, legal pedophilia. when the age of consent is lower than the age of maturity, it's legal pedophilia. So, yeah, that's the story of how it began. That's the story of how it began. There were other moments of absolute certainty. One was when I knew that the relationship would not continue for much longer. And the other was when the church went from being Providence Holy Church to Providence Harvest Church. And I guess I'll talk about those in a different video. So I guess this was how it began. So I suppose the next video is how it ended. As always, thank you for listening. I'm always open to your comments and your thoughts.
How long will we continue to not hold some of these pastors accountable? How long will we allow these pastors to victimize the congregation? How long will we allow the pastors to steal money from the congregation? How long will the congregation continue to sit back and just sweep the dirty deeds of the pastor up under a rug? How long? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody tell me? Listening to this young lady's story and the things that she had to go to, the things that she had to go through, Miss Eternity, she's no longer with us now. The pressure got to her. She couldn't cope. She couldn't cope with what she went through, dealing with the pastor. When she was going to church just to receive the word of God, to get closer to God. And it seems that Satan was right there in the church house. It's a sad, sad, sad thing. This is a sad, sad, sad story. We need to wake up, body of Christ. We need to wake up, body of Christ. A lot of the things that are going on right now inside of the church house shouldn't be going on inside of the church house. You know it, I know it. But instead, members of the congregation always sweep it under the rug. Not my pastor wouldn't do this. Or they embarrassed. They embarrassed because that's the church that they go to. They don't want their church in the headlines. They don't want their church being talked about badly. Well, you're being represented badly. You're being represented badly. Once again, I send my condolences out to Miss Eternity Philops. Rest in peace, baby girl. You're forever in the Lord's hands now. You've always been in the Lord's hands. But he also gave us free will. And a lot of times we victimize and get victimized. We got to choose our decisions and make them wisely and continue to grow and prosper. And I want all my viewers, all my churchgoers, to let the Spirit convict you in dealing with these pastors so you won't be directed in the wrong way. You won't be used. You won't be victimized. Know what you're dealing with when it comes to these pastors. Sad, sad story, man. Hey, I want y'all to drop down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this video. It's crazy.